today's Tuesday Times Roundtable. Pleasure to have you here as always. If you are regular, anyone who might be here for the first time, welcome. Two brief announcements related to global learning and this series before we get started. This is part of the New York Times readership program. We've been promoting as much as we can, but just to give a really quick plug, you can access the New York Times online for free as a member of the FIU community. So if you want to, even right now, while you have devices out, if you go to accessnyt.com and choose FIU as your school, you can register with your FIU email. And if you think articles like the ones in front of you are of great interest, you can read the New York Times for free. And then also I had strategically placed up front our Walk for Humanity flyers. That's coming up soon, and we would love your participation in that if you're interested in that cause. So I'm glad to introduce today's moderator, Maikel Alendy. Maikel is currently a senior instructional designer at FIU Online. Maikel has extremely diverse professional and academic experience with degrees from UF and FIU in the fields of neuroscience, cultural anthropology, healthcare, and business. His main research interests and publications are in cardiovascular molecular biology, which I did not know about him, aging, social media, anthropology, and online pedagogy. He teaches a fully online course called Digital Fairy Tale, which merges social movements, disruptive technologies, and business trends with a dash of neuropsychology. He's also the instructor for a hybrid course called The Power of Play, in which students examine the importance of play throughout their lifetimes and partner with Sweetwater Elementary to design games for K-5 students. Maikel currently serves as the online experience consultant for the Honors College here at FIU and as the CTO for a digital consulting company here in Miami. Thanks for being here, Maikel.
Thank you. So before Eric reached out to me and told me he was going to do an intro, I had a part of my presentation dedicated to that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but my pictures are, I think, a little bit funnier. So before we get into our discussion today, I wanted to present the article to you all that this discussion came from. I got the email from Eric as he sends out to all our faculty, and I'm a millennial, so I feel some kind of way about reading any kind of news paper. So I've chosen not to read newspapers, but I've always loved the New York Times. I use a lot of its articles in my course, and I came across this one, Don't Let Facebook Make You Miserable. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm miserable. It must be Facebook's fault. But I love anything social media, so I read into it, and there's some really profound concepts that I think will be really impactful for you all. And hopefully we'll have some really good discussion based on it. Now, my next slide is important for me to share with you all. The content, whenever talking about social media, might get a little dicey. So I didn't want to surprise any of you. No, there will be no blood. I don't think any drug references. There is a guy who's topless from the waist up. There will be sexual themes, right? We're going to talk about research. We're going to talk about some truths. And so some of those truths that impact us most deeply are those that are most personal to us. So we will be talking about some sexual themes, and I will avoid strong language, and there won't be any violence, but I just wanted you to prepare for that. I didn't want someone to be super shocked. And so back to my little intro. My name is Maikel Alendy. As Eric said, I work here at FIU Online with the Honors College. I do a lot of stuff, an influencer, I'm an educator, I'm a designer. I graduated from the University of Florida, also known as Surviving the Swamp. I got my graduate degree here at FIU. Actually, after I got my MBA, I was on the stage with President Rosenberg, and this is my first Instagram post after I graduated. And he took a selfie with me. It's also on Snapchat, but it's gone now. And so this guy is so cool. And so I just wanted to share that with you all. I'm also the CTO of a digital consulting company. I work with small businesses to get their brand out there, to help these Gen Xers, some baby boomers, realize that digital stuff isn't that scary. It's not that difficult, and definitely to leverage its strengths. I teach an online course and a hybrid course for our Honors College called Digital Fairy Tale. It's a real course, I promise. And also a little bit more personal about me. I'm an adult who likes to go to Disney World. I go with my girlfriend a lot, maybe too much. I've been an annual pass holder for like almost half a decade. But yeah, happiest place on earth. I mean, how bad could it be? These are photos taken within like a year span. So I go at least once a month. Also, I really enjoy volunteer work. I work with a lot of organizations that work with students, anywhere from elementary to college age. And this is actually where my interest in social media moved from more of a person who was participating in it to more of a person who wanted to understand it. That picture in the middle is a group of students that I work with when we go on mission trips to Haiti. And the first question that their parents asked me when we were going to Haiti was, oh my goodness, I heard there's no Wi-Fi. How am I going to get in contact with them? And I was like, they're about to go to a country where we're building wells for people. Like, there's no drinking water here, and you're worried about Wi-Fi. But I thought, maybe that's the parents. They're really scared. They're a little, I don't know, maybe helicopter parents. Let me talk to students. And so my students said, hey, we found out this really great fact that there's one spot on the missionary campus where there is Wi-Fi, so we're going to be Snapchatting and doing this stuff the whole time. And I'm like, we are in a third world country. There are no paved roads where we're going to, and you're focused on Wi-Fi. So I realized, all right, this thing is huge. It's important. And at that trip and on these many trips, we met missionaries from all different types of places. And then we went into the villages, literally hiking to villages. And when we get to the village, we create a great connection with the people who live there. And the first question they ask me about follow-up is, hey, what's your name on Facebook so I can friend you? We're building a well in your village, and you are going to connect with me through Facebook. And so this social media thing, it's incredible. It blew my mind. I thought I was there doing something that made sense that I could manage, but it's really, really so much more than that. So I've had a ton of opportunities to present on the topics of social media and engagement and student interactivity all throughout the United States. These past 2 years, I presented in Portland, in New Orleans at Blackboard World. And so that's a little bit of how I've engaged with this particular topic. Now, I think that's enough about me. Let's get to know a little bit about you all. I'm going to ask you, if you can, please, just like I do in my class, take out your cell phones, have your laptops ready. We are going to use a tool called Kahoot. And what I'd ask you to do is open up the browser application on whatever tool you're using right now and visit the website Kahoot, Kahoot, .it. Once again, that's Kahoot, Kahoot, .it. And being a Disney person, I like to play. I literally teach a class on play. So let's play a little. And for those of you who like this at the end and you'd like to use it, it is free. It is also in a partnership with Disney, so there's that. So once you get to the website, Kahoot.it, please use this game pin, 510655. Let's have some funny names up here, all right? Don't just give me, regular stuff. Let's get some cool names. All right, Camilla and Kat, those are great. Your parents thought they were lovely. And we'll give you a little bit of time. There we go. LeBron, oh Lord. Too soon for that, LeBron. Really, Disney haters? I'm just glad. At the last conference I spoke at, there were a lot of Gator haters, so. Oh, all right. Are we good? No? Still? Anybody need more time? You like the Halloween theme music going on? I don't know. They sent out an email. They're really into the Halloween spirit. I didn't know you could put it. Wow. All right. Okay. Let's get started. I will be asking a series of questions. I had a gift to share with whomever won. I forgot that gift at home. So, I get your email later. Maybe I'll send it to you. This is a competition. You get points for not only answering correctly, but quickly. So let's see who we are, who's in this room right now. And the first question is simply, I am. What's your age? It's going to have a couple of age ranges. You'll see on your device, it gives you those little colors. The red is 17 through 18, blue is 21 through 30, yellow is 19 through 20, and green is 30 plus. We don't need to talk about specifics after 30. It's okay. And okay, we've got a good distribution here, 21 through 30. All right, I'm expecting that's like 21-year-olds, but for the most part, that's a really good distribution. We're going to be talking about millennials. We're going to talk about Gen Z. We're going to talk a little bit about baby boomers. It's a topic that I'm obviously well versed in, and so one that I'll try to relate to you all with. So no points for this, but Camilla, you answered first, so congrats. You know your age. All right, our first question. Let's go. Which platform do users between the ages of 18 through 34 spend most of their time on? Is it Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn? I know some of you were hoping that Facebook was going to be there, but it is not. And the answer is Snapchat. Wow, I thought every college student knew everything there is about social media. That's so weird. Yeah, Snapchat is actually growing significantly amongst this adult population, exponentially. Now, Instagram has more active users. However, more people spend time on Snapchat. Maybe it's to go through those really creepy photos that they're getting. All right, let's go to the next question. And Ryan is in the lead. Ooh, well, LeBron James is 2 points behind him. Next question. And how many users does Facebook have worldwide? 1.9 billion, 5.6 billion, 10.3 million, or 80 million? How many users does Facebook have worldwide? All right, 1.9 billion. All right, that's less than half of the room guessed that correctly. 5.6 billion, that's a little much. 10.3 million, ha, you wish. And 80 million, again, has surpassed that. We're going to talk a little bit about those numbers coming up. LeBron James has taken the #1 spot, Queenie #2. How many active social media users are there worldwide? 1 billion, 2.8 billion, 80 million, or 9 billion? You are all in college. I'm expecting some really educated answers here. Expecting. One last person trying to figure out what to put there? All right, yes, and process of elimination, we could have done that. For that 7 people who said 9 billion, fortunately, there are only about 7-point-something billion humans on the planet. So thank God there aren't 9 billion, because then we'd have to talk about some aliens and things start getting weird. But yeah, 2.8 billion active social media users worldwide. LeBron James, wow, this dude spends a lot of time on the internet. How many friends does the average Facebook user have? 320, 130, 1,500, or 250? And don't talk about your friends, all right? I know you all got 1,500, but the average user. 7, and so many of you thought 320 was that average. That's interesting. The average number of friends a Facebook user has is 250. We're going to talk about a little bit later how social media actually has changed the connotation of the word friend. LeBron James, wow, okay. Holly, 2nd place, Queenie, 3rd place, Ryan, 4th, and Okins? All right, we'll go with that. Top 5. Question number 6, which is the correct ranking for most popular social media sites? Is it Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest? Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn. Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, or Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Twitter? Yeah, okay. See, I feel like if I put this question earlier, there would have been a lot of responses, but now you guys are like second guessing yourself. Is it? Only 2 of you got the correct distribution there, and this is crazy. I have something to tell you that you've heard before, but that you don't believe. Twitter is dying. It is. It's happening. It's a fact. 18 through 34, 35, they're actually abandoning Twitter more. We know that Trump is still on Twitter. And actually, younger generations are the ones that are getting into Twitter, but not as much as before. So again, you thought you knew social media. Next, LeBron James. Oh, everybody just got it wrong. That's what happened there. All right, what is the subject of the most retweeted post of all time? Is it a picture from Ellen DeGeneres? Was it an Obama photo? Is it Ariana Grande's post-concert apology? Or chicken nuggets? Is that chicken nuggets? Those are your 4 choices. The most retweeted post of all time. Will LeBron James maintain #1? It is chicken nuggets, dude. This guy at Wendy's, this guy wanted to get unlimited chicken nuggets from Wendy's, got enough people to vote for him, and actually beat Ellen DeGeneres' selfie, which was the top, for chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets, everyone. 2017, Homo sapiens. All right. Obama's actually, or pictures about him or stuff that he's done is actually like 4 of the top 5 or top 10. And Ariana Grande's was #1 before Ellen DeGeneres' selfie. LeBron James has fallen, and Holly is now #1. Next question. What is the name of the bird featured in Twitter's logo? Is it Tweety, Sammy, Johnny, Larry? Why couldn't the bird have been a girl? Just realized that. Messed up. Real messed up, Twitter. And 11 of you guessed correctly, Larry. All right, just random fun question. What was the original name for Snapchat? Anybody want to take a guess? Kind of intuitive. Peekaboo. Was that? All right, Peekaboo was its first given name. And LeBron James back on top. Oh, Holly, just by 6 points. All right, I think you got one more question. 2 more. What is more popular? Porn, social media, Pokemon Go, or quality time? What do we spend more time on and doing? Or being done as? That answer is social media, yes. And I know that's kind of like, you're all really smart, so you're like, it has to be social media, right? Like, we're here. But it just beat out porn in 2016. Pokemon Go for 3 months was actually more popular than porn and social media, and quality time is an all-time low. You can ask my mom. She complains about it all the time. All right. Fun fact about porn. 2015, we watched over 20.5 billion hours of porn as a human species, and that is more time than we as a species has been on this planet. So go us. Go us. Ryan, whoa, LeBron, the porn question got you. All right, last question. What is the most popular image snapped on Snapchat? Is it selfies, food, drinks, or, I couldn't put it on there. I thought these answers were going to be a little bit faster. You see, you're second guessing yourselves now. It's that Larry one. That really threw us off. Drinks. Drinks. 6 of you went with I'm not judging you. And what is fascinating about this to me was that there's data on this, right? A little concerning. All right, let's see who is in the lead. And it is Ryan with the number. Ryan, can we? Congrats. LeBron James, second fiddle to Steph Curry. I mean, yes, good job, good try. All right. So Kahoot, free, it's cool, it's fun, use it. Or don't, but all about fun. All right, so in order to really grasp this concept, or what we're about to talk about, I think it's important to build kind of a mental scaffolding, right? To give us a framework so we have some familiarity. Because the truth of the matter is, you may not know that much about social media, well, outside of Ryan, as much about social media as you once thought you did. And so I want to share 5 numbers with you to kind of give you an outline of what our conversation is going to circulate. And the first is 500,000. There are 500,000 likes that occur on Facebook every minute. 500,000. And that's not looking at content, scrolling through content. That's intentionally going and saying, I see this, I recognize this, I read this, I like this. 500,000 per minute. The second number I wanted to share is 12 years old. We're looking at the average age of individuals creating and getting on social media. And some of you might be asking, wow, that's a beautiful picture of a unicorn. Why is there a beautiful picture of a unicorn on this slide? Well, when you're 12, you're what, like in middle school? And when I was 12, I believed that unicorns were real. Let's be honest, it's not that far-fetched. It's a horse with a horn on it, right? Rhinoceroses, horses, it couldn't have been that difficult. But the reason I put this on here with 12 years old is that there are individuals on social media who have access to, everything, literally everything, who still believe that unicorns are real. That is something outrageously profound to think that we are engaging with social media as prolifically as we are, and it's happening even younger and younger. The third number I wanted to share was 79%. 79% of all adults on the internet are accessing social media. So the majority of the individuals who are on the internet are actually on there and going to social media. This phenomenal tool that has changed the course of history for us as a species, as a planet, is being utilized primarily for social media use. And because of the Kahoot, we know it's not being used more, at least for the time being, for porn. The next number I wanted to share, and this one as an American, as a Westerner, I think it kind of comes as a shock to most of us. There are 1 million new profiles on Facebook a day. And the reason that I like to highlight this point is you think that everyone you know and their grandmother and their grandmother's grandmother has saturated social media, right? It's on, everyone's on there. Like, if you have not heard of social media, you live under a rock. Like, there is no way that this is growing. But daily, there are 1 million new profiles occurring on Facebook a day. And some of you might be thinking, all right, those are bots trying to get me to, I don't know, give them my credit card information for something fake. But what happens to us frequently is we forget that there's a whole other world out there, other continents, other people. And their access to the internet is growing day by day. And so 1 million profiles occurring on Facebook a day might change what social media looks like for us. And then the last number I wanted to share with you all is 67%. 67% of adults sampled said that they received some portion of their information of the news from social media. We're not just using social media to look at pictures of cats. We're not just looking at social media to stalk ex-girlfriends. I was the only one? No, all right, fine. We're not looking at social media just for the fun of it anymore. It's now molding the way that we vote, the way that our perceptions, our beliefs are molded. And 67% of adults, not 12-year-olds who believe in unicorns, no, adults between the ages of 18 and 35, this sample is only taken, 18 and 65, are getting their news from social media. So it's everywhere. And the truth of the matter is, no matter where we go from here, and when I say we, I mean the collective human society experience, social media is a part of our shared history. And some of you might feel some kind of way about that because your parents have been yelling at you that your generation is ruining the world or that generation has ruined everything. And I just saw this post on the interweb the other day, and it made me feel so warm inside. Because it's in a train and everyone's kind of glued to this newspaper and they're not talking to each other. And I remember coming up on all these articles talking about the misconceptions of teenagers and millennials and whomever being obsessed with social media. There's a commercial for some kind of car where everyone's like tweeting and like they crash into each other. This kid falls down and then he like takes a selfie as he falls. Like it's just he's glued to his phone and how that has inhibited us from interacting socially. Now, of course, I'm not going to say that these people, they were stuck to the newspapers all the time like we are married to our phones. By no means am I making that assertion. But what I am saying is that social media is a natural progression, an evolution of human communication to the point where our technology is at this moment. It's not something that's outrageously unnatural and I can't believe it's taking over. This is what we were doing already. But now that the internet's here, right, that access, that ability has grown exponentially. And so a number I want to share with you all again, and this kind of just wraps this all before we move on to the next part of the presentation, is 2.63 billion. There are currently 2.63 billion individuals with social media profiles to date. That is more people than individuals who have toothbrushes. There are more people who know about Beyonce's pregnancy photos than there are combating bad breath. Right? That's the reality. And if we look at the relationship between access to the internet or smartphones, cell phones, and we look at the number of cell phones out there, and then the whole world, right? Not just America, there are more people with cell phones than there are people who have access to a working toilet. We are social beings, we're social animals. This is super important to us. And it's more prolific than toothbrushes and working toilets. Social media is something that we need to stop looking at and just saying, hey, I'm going to interact with it, and realize it's a part of who we are, where we're going, and what we're doing. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's absolutely great. It doesn't also mean that it's absolutely horrible. But it does mean that this is an area, this is an item, this is a tool, this is something that requires us to know more about and to get ahead of. And that's what really piqued my interest when reading about this article. And the title that came up after I'd read the article that I wanted to talk about was Social Media Lies and Google Truths. And we're going to talk about why I chose this title when we get a little bit deeper into what the article meant and its numbers. And the first thing I like to do whenever having a discussion, I like to frame discussions around questions. Right? I hate philosophy. I'm going to be honest with you all. Hate it. I understand its importance. So sorry if there are any philosophers here. I get it. It's a mental exercise. We need it. Totally need it. But we go nowhere. And I'm a very concrete person. I need an A and a B. And if I'm just ending up back at A, physics to me, that's negative displacement. Okay, the nerd thing's showing. You get where I'm going. But let's have a conversation. And the first question I want to ask you all, and something to consider is, what does social media look like when the rest of the world joins? 2.63 billion people on the internet currently. There's 5 billion others still to join us on social media. What's social media going to look like when the rest of the world joins?
I would say the same.
The same? Okay.
Yeah, like, there's so many people on there right now, and I mean, you just see different cultures. So I would say with the other 5, whatever number it was, when they join, I guess it will be the same in the sense where you're seeing different cultures, different perspectives on life, I would say.
Okay. So we'll see more diversity. Okay.
I think it's going to be different because we're going to be able to see what's going on with the other side of the world.
Okay. Different how though?
I don't know, we're going to be more aware of what's going on.
Okay. So we'll get woker.
I don't think social media is going to change so much, but the world is, in the sense that a lot of people that don't have social media are because they live in the middle of a jungle that don't have access. So where I'm going is that Africa will flourish, or those places, they're going to change. Social media is going to stay the same, but the actual place.
So that's a really interesting point. I was having a conversation with some very annoying middle schoolers, and we were talking about human rights. You know, what are human rights? And I love to kind of throw a curveball in there. And it's really easy for us to criticize some of the experts who've come before us, or our parents. And I always thought, if you were the first humans to come and write up what are human rights, what were the human rights that you would want? And of course, some human rights that they chose were like, oh, everyone could own a cat, everyone has like a Denny's night or something, I don't know, things like that. But one human right that came up that really shook me was that all humans should have the right to the access to the internet. Think about that for 1 second. Think about all the things that we do because of the internet, the things that we need because of the internet. Some of my bills I can only pay if I have access to the internet. So that's literally affecting the home in which I live. A human right becomes this connection to the internet. And that could change everything, right? Because then internet access becomes another factor to determining socioeconomic status. And then we're going to start talking about internet speed, and then we're going to start talking about if you have Comcast, well, then you're just at the bottom of the. But what does social media look like when the rest of the world joins? Internet becomes a bigger deal. Everyone needs to have it all the time. What else? Oh, y'all are really excited to get into this. I thought I was super engaging. That's kind of what I talk about. No, I'm not. That's fair. I can practice. I can take the tough love.
But as far as it being a human right, it's circumstantial. You said the society, or like the example of your bills, there's a created infrastructure where it becomes necessary. So it's not a basic human right. It's a human right that now people should have that right because of how it gets set up, where to move around in the society, you're going to more and more need it.
It affects a lot of it.
Right, so it's not a basic human right, it's a right contingent on how the system's set up.
Okay.
It's not really a question.
No, it's good. Philosopher would have loved it. No? Okay, that's good. And I wanted to talk about how often when you're on social media do you think about the rest of the world? Like, do you think about how someone in another country engages with social media? Because I'll be honest, I studied this and I didn't. You know, I was doing research on it, I was like, I wonder, 2.63 billion, what is everybody else doing? Because I'm on social media. We know that 67% of all adults in America online are on social media. So I did a little bit of research, and being that this is put on by Global Learning, I thought this was really appropriate, a really appropriate graph here. It's put on by this company called Smart Insights, and it showed me this graph of internet use by region. And I'm going to be honest, in my own ignorance, I assumed that being not even the USA, North America, we would have been like the top 5, at least, right? At least. But if you look at this graph, East Asia at 9.23 million people on the internet is clearly number 1. North America doesn't show up all the way until actually number 6. Can anyone explain to me why my thinking might have been a little bit off with this?
Because of population difference.
Numbers! Purely numbers. 9.3 million people in East Asia is only 57% of their population. I'm sitting here in America thinking, what, we've got 400 some odd million people, and if 90% of them, let's cut it back, 88% of them are online, that's 300 some odd million. So yeah, that percentage represents a majority of the people we know. But the truth of the matter is, our country isn't the whole world. And social media is not limited by those boundaries. Now, does that affect social media in any way? That's cool. I can talk a lot. So the next slide I want to show was different social media platforms in different countries. Now, I'm going to be honest. You all saw the spelling of my name, Maikel. People have butchered the way you say my name ever since I actually think my mom got it wrong. So, I'm not going to try to butcher the names of these platforms, but the two on the left are the most popular platforms in China. The one on the top right is the most popular platform in Brazil, and the one on the bottom looks just like Facebook. That's the most popular platform in Russia. Why does China have 2 super popular different platforms?
I may be wrong, but I know that China is very strict when it comes with the internet. They have their own stuff.
Yes.
They don't use American, like WhatsApp, they don't use that. They have their own WhatsApp,
Yes.
They have their own Instagram, they have their own social media world.
Yes.
And yeah, they're really strict.
Yes, and that's exactly why, right? Facebook's not allowed in China.
Is one public and one private?
No, they're all public. Yes. I had to think about that for a second. I was like, they are private companies, but they're all public within their areas. Now,
They have like underground, yeah.
yeah, they do. So I was just looking at numbers, and unfortunately, I get my information the legal way, so that's the only, But yeah, these are the 2 most popular in China, and that's because social media is prolific, right? People are out there, people are using it. What happens when my country's legislation limits me from using it? Something I found really surprising that none of you mentioned is, as social media becomes more prolific, more important, more pertinent to our lives, none of you expect it to become more regulated. Has anybody here ever put a Facebook page up and then try to invite all your friends to it, and that Facebook page temporarily gets brought down? No? I'm the only one who's doing crazy things with it? Okay, that's cool, that's cool. As Facebook has, you've...
And I was going to say that sometimes you post certain things that come to me.
Yes. Yeah. Right? Facebook is getting bigger, and the bigger you get, the more it becomes important, the more it becomes impactful, the more people start caring and wanting to control that. So much that in China, they have their own platform. And what happens when this platform that's supposed to be open communication and affecting our news becomes more regulated or becomes watched and more nitpicked? Then our experience starts getting a little, manicured.
Big Brother watching you.
It's
Big Brother watching you.
super watching. I bought a Google Home like a month ago because I'm just that guy, right? You know, anything, I'm a millennial, we're really like, oh my gosh, this is flashy, this is cool, I want it. So I went and bought it, and then I realized it's listening to me all the time. So I put it in my living room. And then I was like, wait. It's still listening to me. So I returned it. I'm gonna buy another one next week, it's got cooler now. But, right, Big Brother watching us. What's the progression? What's the next level of social media? Mark Zuckerberg,
Sorry. No, go ahead.
no, I really would rather you.
I was reading an article yesterday, Alexa.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually teaching her to answer like more deeply questions. Like you ask her, I'm depressed, what should I do? So you know, a machine is telling you how to combat your depression, and something that you would ask a friend.
Yeah.
Now it's a machine.
Yeah.
So how do they answer this question?
Oh man, I wish we had more time. I could talk about the sex doll industry and how that's really messing up my life. Not my life. I'm saying like the way I was thinking about. Hold on, wait. Can you believe that? No, sorry. But yeah, you know, this Big Brother concept, right? It's there. It's everywhere, and there's some benefits to it. No, is everyone just scared of Big Brother? I don't have a Big Brother, so I wouldn't. I am the Big Brother. He should be scared. Yeah.
So yes, this weekend I was visiting friends in Jersey City, and I've been there once years ago to see them, but I'm not very familiar. One of them, they had to go on an errand without me, and I went to go do something, and I needed to get back to where they live.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know their address. I don't know the place well enough to be like, I'm just bad with directions. So I went to google.com/location history, and despite the fact that I had never used Google to get to their place, they had driven me there. I'd never entered their address, but it said, at 10 a.m. this morning, you were at this address, and it had the exact street address with the numbers, and I was able to get back where I needed to go. So creepy, but you said useful.
Mad helpful. Yes. Yes. He's scared. That's okay. We all should be a little bit, right? No one's regulating this organization, this company, or this algorithm. This took a really dark turn. Let's keep on going. But so here are the truths, right? Here are some realities that we don't normally think of when we're thinking social media. There are more people in Indonesia, the Philippines, Mexico, India, and Brazil on social media platforms, and that's a fact. Also, Netlog, which was that Russian site that I showed, what that does, you were talking about diversity, or someone over here talked diversity, right? With Netlog, with that Russian site, because it's actually used in the Middle East as well, they actually do geo-targeted searches. So you might be on a social media platform where an individual on the other side of the world is as well, but Netlog only keeps those searches within one region. So you may not even know or see the post from that particular individual. But the one country I didn't put up there, or I didn't show you in the past slide with their own social media app, is India, because Facebook is still #1 in India. I think that the future of social media is going to have one company grow so large that that particular company will break through the boundaries of other nations and actually pool as many people together as it can and obliterate this whole geo-targeted searches. So do you trust what you see or read on social media? All right, there was a lot of, so there were a lot of no's. Sometimes.
Depends on what you follow, I would say.
Okay.
Like, I follow a lot of newspapers.
Okay.
So, New York Times, Miami Herald, etc.
Nice.
I trust, or Channel 7, whatever.
Oh, you're very local. Perspective.
Yeah. BBC, if you want.
Okay, now you got crazy, all right. Whole other concept.
No.
Maybe? No? Why no?
A lot of things that are being said or acts that are committed sometimes get too twisted to the act of trying to pull in viewers. So it's very obvious that, I mean, I was around when Facebook first came out.
When you needed a university email in order to set up an account?
I was in Miami-Dade College
Yep.
at the time.
Oh, good old days.
And it was just posting what you like, and it was not political, there was no news, no nothing. Nowadays, it was bound to happen that newspapers and anything that has to do with the news period, we're going to use social media to get their word out, and that also concludes to their viewing audience. even though people are just looking at it on a phone.
Yeah.
It's still considered pulling in,
Yeah.
if you would say. And things are always just very twisted. And when you actually do the research on what was going on, if you actually go on YouTube, that somebody was actually there, not a newspaper YouTube, but somebody was actually there through their phone or through their camera, to just want to be journalists, you actually get the full story and see what they actually said and their body language, and
I think it's
a whole different view of what was put on a newspaper.
Yeah, and I think it's incredible that you use YouTube, another social networking site, to validate what might be misgiving on another social network site. So if anybody here believes fully everything they see on social media, I think there's enough of an argument to say, maybe you shouldn't. And I think for the most part, we don't. But do you all remember 67%? What that number represented? 67% of adults are getting their news, are looking to some formation of their opinion of the world, of their lives, from what they engage with on social media. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what the article expressed with this trust lie complex. Eric, what time do I need to wrap up? Because I can talk for days. Oh, okay, all right, let's kick into next gear. All right, so the one place that we are the least honest are sexual websites. Who would have thought? We are actually more honest on social media and in chat rooms than we are on sexual websites. And the reason for that seems to be because if you've got real friends, they'll call you out, right? Oh, I was just at the Bruno Mars concert, and then your friend posts, no, you weren't. We were at my mom's house cleaning the dishes. Like, what do you know? And then a point that actually I want to come back to. I want to go to this slide first. This is a really cool post. I looked up, people being called out on social media. And man, this dude, if you read, you can't really see it that well, but he is just arguing with people like, no, this is me, my six-pack, blah, blah, and then you read all the people like, no, that's Photoshopped, and some people are like, oh, that's great, you gotta teach me how to work out, and he's like, these are my real abs, these are my real abs, and then the last post, it blew my mind. Because I was like, man, how can this guy not see, like, that's just poor Photoshop. And the last comment is, you have no belly button. And I was like, duh. Right, that's a strength of social media that maybe we're not leveraging, right? That you are leveraging, right? You're using social media to check on social media. This kind of citizen policing. And then some other aspect of social media that some of you might experience, some of you might fall victim to. 80% of the posts on social media, people are talking about themselves. People talk about themselves 80% of the time on social media. Now, if my mom was here, she'd say, well, Michael, I told you, social media is the devil, right? It is horrible. It is worse. You don't come by and say hi to me anymore. You just tweet me. I don't. I come by and see her. I don't tweet her. But I wanted to look like, if this is the natural evolution, the natural progression of human communication, then we should have seen similar trends outside or before social media. And so some research done in the 1920s that has been re-edified in more recent research said that 1 out of 3 social interactions for every college student involves a lie. So if you've had 3 social interactions today, you've probably lied in at least one of them. Throughout this conversation, I've lied to you. No, I'm just saying. Right? So that's college students. Adults, 1 out of every 5 interactions are reporting a lie. Moreover, this research was done in 1990, and then again reevaluated later to find the same numbers. And the numbers between this are a little up for debate. They're between 40 and 60%. Said that 40 and 60% of face-to-face conversations, people are talking about themselves. So the real question here is social media really the bad guy, the villain? Or is it just something that's exacerbated, right? Our already human experience. We were already lying a lot. And we were already talking about ourselves a lot. Now we just have a place that actually gives us somewhere to put it out even more than we were doing before. So is social media the villain? Or do we have to take a more introspective look? Here are 2 lies that I wrestle with regularly because I'm around a lot of Gen Xers and baby boomers in my place of work and in faculty meetings, which is hilarious, because they don't realize that some of the faculty now are actually millennials. It says millennials are less likely to be sexually active than Gen Xers, and that is that is not the truth that's perpetuated around. And can anyone here kind of tell me why they think this research made that finding? Why that might make sense? Why millennials are less likely to be sexual active than Gen Xers?
Could it be because of, well, I immediately think of like whatever school programs they had, but more likely I'm thinking that it has to do with stories that they read on the internet, like that they see other people with their interactions that they don't immediately know, that wouldn't tell them personally. So they have more of a bigger understanding of like, oh, there are this many people that have these things because of their sexual activity.
Yeah, we're coming out of that AIDS epidemic, and we all know how chlamydia is on college campuses, right? We've got social media to tell us what's out there. But there's something else too.
Where's the cutoff of Gen X?
Gen X, so if we're talking about millennials, we're talking about individuals right now who are 77, which I don't fully, I'm more like 80 to 97. Gen Z is 97 and on. And then Gen X would be before that and in between baby boomers.
All right, so that's me. So I would say with the fear thing, first of all, I think with AIDS, see, that's what I thought. I thought we grew up way more with fear putting into us because we grew up with people dying of AIDS and the quilt and all that stuff. I think the answer to that question is because there's so much more interaction that's not physical in general. There's texting, there's conversations you're having that's already non-physical. I mean, there's a lot more. You have to meet up and go on a date to meet each other back in the day.
Yeah.
As opposed to there's so, you can talk on phones or whatever, but now there's a lot, you're exchanging pictures, like all this stuff. By the time you go on the first date, there's a lot of people that already have interacted, a lot of stuff.
Yes. Yeah, and you're hitting the target, right? We're a Netflix and chill generation, apparently. And so our ability, our access to engaging and interacting with these intimate relationships are so much easier with Tinder, right? You had to put so much work in before Gen X. You know what's even crazier? Has anyone, I don't know if y'all dance, right? This is Miami. This is kind of a city where we party or whatever it's called. Do millennials party more than Gen Xers? Wow, this is like the people who all y'all are doing is studying. That's what's obviously happening. Do millennials party more than Gen X? So Gen X would be anyone over the age of 37. And then younger than 65. Man, y'all don't want to tell me about your weekends. That's cool. I'll be honest. I'll tell you about my own, all right? I drank a lot of coffee this weekend, and I prepared for this presentation. No, the truth of the matter is businesses are going out of their minds. Bars are closing left and right. Back in my day, Coconut Grove was a great spot to go and party. No longer has that been the case, right? They're decreasing. Millennials are not going out as much. We're not drinking out, because why? Half of us are broke, right? We're in college. Right? We've seen, what happens when you don't have money. I don't have time to spend on that. But also our interactions, we can have quality interactions watching Netflix and getting, Uber Eats to bring me the meal that I want at my house. I don't have to go out. I don't also have to pay outrageous prices for beer. I've realized that. Gen Xers spend, on average, 40 more minutes a week on social media than do millennials. Does anybody want to make an argument with their parents that they spend more time on social media than you do? Why is that the case? Why would research say this? What are we spending our time on social media? What platforms are millennials and Gen Z on more than Gen Xers? Anyone take a guess? Snapchat, Instagram. Gen Xers, baby boomers, they're on Facebook, right? Looking at every picture in that album on the baby walking just the way they engage with social media already. They're spending more time than we are. Social media lies and Google truths. So let's talk a little bit more. Americans spend about 6 times as much of their time cleaning dishes as they do golfing, but there are roughly twice as many tweets reporting golfing as there are tweets reporting doing the dishes. I've never seen a tweet of someone doing their dishes, ever. I can emphatically state that. That's a good point. Although I may have an app on my watch that controls and I've done that on a Disney trip once too, but that's fine, right? Here are the real truths out there. They want you to believe that you're on social media all the time doing fun stuff, but the real stuff that you're doing, you're not reporting. And Google's telling us, well, now it's time to take a look at that. So I want to share a personal story. I'm going to do it really quickly. When I was a wee little middle schooler, there was a movie that came out in 1999 called She's All That. I loved this movie, right? I wanted to be the popular guy who was also valedictorian. I mean, this guy was ridiculous, right? And I watched this movie. I was in middle school. I was getting ready for high school. I was like, all right, this is what high school is going to be like. Then I watched the movie, and I was like, bro, everyone had an 8-pack or a 24-pack. These dudes were all like super tall. The women looked like, I was like, I'm not ready for high school. I look like a child. I am a 12-year-old unicorn-believing child. This movie came out in 1999, right? Social media hadn't made the impact that it's made now. But the truth of the matter is, we were being lied to already. Freddie Prinze Jr., is that his? Yeah. He was 23 in this movie. He wasn't even in college playing a high schooler. Gabrielle Union was 27 when she filmed this film. You get what I'm saying. 27, right? The images that were being put out had already been twisted. It wasn't social media necessarily that was the culprit. So what does Google reveal about our darkest lies? And with this one, I'm just going to go and share what the article told us he discovered while going through some Google searches in comparison to what social media was telling him. Right? So in a University of Maryland survey, it showed that we lie. And we lie even if it's anonymous. Right? Fewer than 2% of students reported that they graduated with lower than a 2.5 GPA when 11% of them did. 44% of these students said they had donated money to the university in the past year when in reality, only 28% of them did. And this was anonymous. So let's talk about some Google truths, and this is it's gonna be a little heavy, but I'm gonna kind of zip through these, all right? So on social media, the top descriptors to complete the phrase "my husband" are the best, my best friend, amazing, the greatest, and so cute. On Google, the top 5 ways to complete that phrase was amazing, was also amazing, right? Top 5, amazing was 1, but the other 4 was a jerk, annoying, gay, and mean. Google truths about sex. So there have been some survey research talking about how many men are the homosexual population. That's been very difficult, right? The sample size has been skewed with the particular individuals that they've selected in the past. It showed 10%. Now the research is showing that it's somewhere nearer to 2%. Google searches found kind of the same thing, and I could explain how it did that, but we don't really have time for that, so let's kind of move on to the next one. And on Google, there are 16 times more complaints about a spouse not wanting sex than about a married partner not being willing to talk. We are a hypersexual society, apparently. But Google's telling us that may be the perception and not the actual truth. There are twice as many complaints that a boyfriend won't have sex than a girlfriend won't have sex. What else is the perception about women in our society or about the dynamics in a relationship? Size, in quotes, you know. For every search a woman makes about a partner's member, men roughly make 170 searches of their own. We might be a little bit more obsessed with something than our counterparts. And men conduct more searches for this than how to tune a guitar, how to make an omelet, or how to change a tire. Something that was really interesting, and I want you to think about this. Pain is the most Googled word used in searches with the phrase blank during sex. Men are obsessed with size larger, but it seems that women are searching more in the opposite area. So Google said, or Google found. Let's talk about body image and some Google truths. Interest in beauty and fitness for men is 42%. Weight loss, 33%. Cosmetic surgery, 39%. And among all searches with how to or related to breasts, men looking up how to get rid of man breasts. We think we're in a culture and society where body image is only a concern of women when the truth of the matter is Google searches are overwhelmingly swarmed with men asking about these same topics. Girls versus boys. This one really hurt me, and you'll notice I'm kind of I put girls first. And you know when they say his or her, I never do that. I put her and his. Why did his come before her? If you do it alphabetical, HE's, never mind, we're gonna get off of that. So moving forward, parents are 2.5 times more likely to ask, is my son gifted than is my daughter gifted? There are also more searches for is my son behind or stupid than comparable searches for daughters. And negative words like behind and stupid are less likely to be associated with sons than positive words such as gifted or genius. Moving forward.
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
So they're asking if their sons are gifted and asking if their sons are stupid. Is that maybe not, is that just saying that they care more about the son's academic performance, but not assuming that they're gifted or that they care?
Yes, and that's what's in this next slide. That's a great deduction. They care more about their son's academic success and performance than they're searching about their daughters, right? Parents in Google, they Google, is my daughter overweight, twice as frequently as they do their son, and about 28% of girls are overweight, while 35% of boys are. The perception is affecting, honestly, what we're doing. And it's affecting our sense of truth. Because the truth is, there are more boys that are overweight than there are girls, but we care more about our girls' weight image than we do about our boys, according to Google, right? I don't want to say that this is definitely happening, that your parents are doing this, but with the research, according to Google searches, that's what's happening. And something that really kind of impacted me was they also found that there's no regional bias. Some would argue that, oh, in more liberal areas, we know that this isn't happening. There was no regional bias. So maybe we, as a society, we as a Google nation, are a little less progressive as we thought. So here are some Google truths about racism. The N-word is Googled over 7 million times, and that is excluding in rap lyrics. 7 million times. It jumped 30% after Katrina and after Obama was elected president, and it's searched more frequently than anyone searches the words migraine or economist. Moving to another group, when we're talking about Muslims, it's the only group associated with search term terrorist. Its hate searches for Muslims are 20% of all searches. So anything doing with Muslims, 20% of those searches are hate related. Now, I wanted to talk about an item here that's actually really impactful with this research. And Obama asked Americans to not forget that freedom is more powerful than fear. As soon as he said that, made that speech, searches for the phrase kill Muslims tripled. So what now? I've made you all super depressed, and you're like, oh my gosh, obviously we're a bunch of horrible people, and there's no hope. All right, social media might not be the worst, but we are the worst. I don't even know what to do with this. Like, why did you share this with me? I was a happy person at one point. So why do we lie on social media? Why do we lie on surveys? It's because we just lie to ourselves, right? Our sense of the truth is our inability to have an accurate self-reflection. And the research shows this. 40% of one company's engineers said that they were in the top 5%. More than 90% of college professors, cough, cough, say that they do above average work. And 1/4 of high school seniors think that they are in the top 1% in their ability to get along with others. We are deluding ourselves. So I want to read this really great example that came out of the article. And Obama was making a speech after the San Bernardino incident. And he said, Muslim Americans are our friends and our neighbors, our co-workers, our sports heroes, and yes, they are our men and women in uniform who are willing to die in defense of our country. After this line, for the first time in more than a year, the top Googled noun after the word Muslim was not terrorist or extremist or refugees. It was athletes, followed by soldiers. And in fact, athletes kept the top spot for a full day afterwards. What can we gain from this research? What can we gain from these Google truths? we find out that when we lecture angry people, the search data implies that their fury grows. But subtly provoking people's curiosity, giving new information and offering you images of that group, that is stoking their rage, may turn their thoughts in different, more positive directions. Maybe lecturing somebody on some of these horrible stuff is not the best way to handle this. We're seeing through the search data that if you engage someone's curiosity, give them an opportunity to build a different mental scaffolding of a particular group or topic, that is more impactful than just lecturing them on, well, you should do this and you should do that. So I wanted to read this, was another article that talked about social media, and he said, he posted at what time a picture of some fish, a picture of a really inspirational comment, and a happy song on Facebook. And he said, whenever you look at a social media post, you just kind of see what it is, and you don't think behind it. And he said, I posted the song, this Love With Your Life by Holland on Facebook because it made me feel happy, because I have been feeling pretty bad lately, and I wanted to start being happier. I just had my dosage of antidepressants doubled because I had a prescription for 10 years, and I started seeing a therapist 2 weeks ago so I can learn to balance my emotions. I have been dealing with stress at work, and I'm working through creating a balance for myself, so I posted a picture because I need those words. I needed to pick me up. I needed those words of encouragement. And somebody had sent me a picture a few months ago and had said, this reminds me of you. And I wanted to revisit that happiness. I post videos of the fishy because even though it isn't like having a dog, it still helps knowing something relies on you and needs you. Just those superficial images and interactions that we regularly see on social media, the lies that we might hear there's so much more to that. There's something deeper. The next time you are feeling like maybe there's something you're doing that's just odd or that's wrong or that's off and it's got to just be you, go into Google and start typing how you feel or what you're going through. And as that autocomplete kind of shares the same topic that you are, you'll know you're not alone in this. Social media lies, but Google's got some truths. So use social media for the right reasons. It's relevant, have meaningful interactions, it builds a community, and it synthesizes it. It pulls in so much more and builds on your knowledge. And that's all I got. Any questions? I think I went over my time.
Produced by Academic Video Services within the Division of Information Technology at Florida International University.